So good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you here in Collège de France. I should thank both the speakers and the audience. I did not realize when we settled the date that this would be after a 4-day break and that probably many students would be occupied with their cells or with their mice. So it's possible that more people will show up as time passes by. I think we have a fantastic program, and on a topic which actually interests me a lot at the moment is that some years ago it seemed, like chemotherapy was old-fashioned, as we would say in French, dépassé, and that it would be wiped out by oncoimmunology and by targeted agents. This was a little bit short-sighted because I think we should all remember that chemotherapy has cured millions of patients, and it has cured millions of patients, and I'd like to make the case that we don't really know how, and that many of the models which have been proposed over the past 50 years may be at best insufficient and at worst completely wrong. So I think it's time to revisit really chemotherapy that I'll remind all of you was established on purely empirical basis. And often the targets were identified long after. And sometimes we don't really know what are the targets. And I'm not sure we really know how does it actually cure patients in the end. And I think we'll hear from some of the speakers today some new hypotheses about this. For a long time, chemotherapy was seen as really the hallmark of interfering with triggering DNA damage response. But do we think that it is all DNA damage? And if it is all DNA damage, what is the actual basis for selectivity? Why do you preferentially kill cancer cells when compared to normal cells? I think this is a completely open and yet absolutely essential question. So in the past years, a flurry of new hypotheses have flourished. We've had new targets through screens of synthetic lethality, and we'll hear about that. We've had new concepts saying that possibly mitochondria are essential, not so much as a relay for cell death, but maybe as an actual target for the drugs. Maybe translation is also important. Maybe it's not only breaking the DNA, but also interfering with ribosomal function. Maybe oxidative stress also is essential. And I think there's also lots of stories going on around this. We'll hear about also new stress responses, such as post-translational modifications, such as simulation from Guillaume, and there's quite good evidence that indeed simulation plays an important role in cancer response to therapy. And finally, at the cell biology level, for at least 30 years, we thought that apoptosis would be everything, and there's now, I think, good evidence, and we'll hear more from Clemens, that senescence can also be important. Finally, a microbiome is obviously a very important modulator as well of response to these drugs, and we'll hear from Philippe some of the updates on this. So I'd like to encourage all our young to ask questions. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. You have the opportunity to ask directly great questions to great speakers, and I'd like all of you to enjoy a great day of science which is deeply rooted in medicine. And I think that one of the aims, at least that we're pursuing in Saint Louis Hospital, is to try to explore directly in patients what is actually really going on during chemotherapy. And I think this will most likely yield some clues about moving from a cell line to an actual organism in vivo and trying to know what are the networks, the pathways which are activated, and in the end, how do we cure patients who had a disease that would kill them in 2 months and that will survive for the rest of their life. So I'd like to renew my thanks to all of you, and maybe we should leave the floor to René now. René Bernards from the Netherlands Cancer Institute in Amsterdam, with a broad title, New Approaches to Cancer Therapy. And so, René, the floor is yours.